Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hey, I am going to show you the fire starters that I've been using here for several years. Not no affiliate. They didn't send these to me. I've been using these longer than I've been doing the YouTube deal. So they're Fire Flame fire starters. This is a 60 count. I think it's like $35 for 60 of them. And these are the fire starters. So I'll set up the camera and you can watch. They burn for, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes. It says burn time up to 10 minutes. They are waterproof, non-toxic. I guess you could cook over top of them. 30-year shelf life and non-combustible under extreme heat. I will tell you that I carried one of those in my pocket for a while, and the plastic, I guess, eventually got a hole in it, and you will get a chemical burn from that. So one of these days I'll do a pocket dump and you'll understand why I carry so much, and that ended up being one of those things. But anyways, I'm going to start a fire same way I do every evening in here in the greenhouse, and I use these things multiple times a week. Very very common. So as far as lighters go, it's just a Bic lighter. I buy them by the 50 pack, and then we have them. So I scrape the ash out of the way. I'll put down a piece of bark on the bottom out of my bucket. Then I will light this. Okay, so they take off pretty good. Lay that on top of that piece of bark is how I do it. And then this bucket is just bark and stuff off the trailer from when I get done hauling wood. I just keep it in a 5-gallon bucket and use it for starting fires. And this has been the easiest way I have found to start these, especially with as many fires as we'll start a week. It being Oklahoma, the weather changes all the time. And so we'll start a fire at night, even sometimes in the house, let it burn through the night, and then go out the next morning. And that's enough to keep the house warm for the day, especially when it's only like 50 degrees out. So there we go. I just pile some, nothing like fancy here, right? All I'm doing is piling dry tinder on top of that. It's been sitting in a 5-gallon bucket in the greenhouse in the heat, for a couple of weeks or months, whatever. And then I like to use pine for getting the fire started. And so let me dig around here on the wood rack and get some pine. A lot of people growing up told me that you can't burn softwoods and that will cause chimney fires and all of this other nonsense. And then I got to thinking, all those people up north, that's all they have to burn is softwoods. So I called friends that live up north, and they're like, yeah, you just have to clean your chimney. And then I realized that everybody that told me you can't burn pine because it'll cause chimney fires were too lazy to clean their chimneys. So I clean mine once a year, and that is pretty well all that I need. And I've been burning pine. It's Oklahoma, so it's a lot of plantation. Or plantation pine, loblolly pine, that's been replanted. We don't have a lot of hardwoods, and so that's what you get. So I'll throw those in, and I'm not going to sit here and make you watch it the whole time. But we'll come back. I got to go check on a couple other things before I go in for the evening. So I'll throw a piece of hardwood on top of that as well. And remember, like when you're stacking this stuff in there, you want some airflow in between them. You're not stacking it dense. That's why I laid that hardwood across there sideways, or at an angle rather. And that way we can get the fire going. So we'll come back here in a couple minutes and I'll start the video back up and you can see where we're at from there. All right, so there you have it. I don't know, just a couple minutes. Pretty simple. Now I'll throw some hardwoods on there, or hardwood rather, and let it burn through the night. I'll probably throw on one more piece of hardwood that I've got that's been sitting in the greenhouse here, and I will let this get, I'll let it get warm and hot, whatever, and I'll come back out here in a couple hours and I will throw on some of the wood that I've got outside that's been snowed on. As it sits right now, we've got like 8 inches of snow. Well, maybe not 8. We're over 6. I haven't measured it in a little while. We're over 6 inches anyways. I'm gonna let that fire get hot, and then I'll come out and throw some wet wood on it for it to go overnight. And I am just gonna let, I'm gonna try to keep as much of this dry wood on the rack inside here, so that I've got it to start fires tomorrow evening. With all the snow, getting everything soaking wet. And we're not, this year, or at least maybe not this year, but right now anyways, I'm not trying to use the wood stove to heat the entire greenhouse. I'm just trying to keep it above freezing. So it's definitely manageable in here temperature wise. I just don't want to have to deal with busted pipes. So I don't really have anything in here that's a crisis for it to get cold. Most of the stuff does all right. And anyways, so all right, folks, we'll catch you next time. If I remember, I will turn the video back on when I stoke it with wet wood, and if not, then we'll just catch you in the next video. All right, Mountain Wizard out. See ya. No, been a couple hours now. We'll see how the stove's doing. Get a good bed of coals here, and get some hardwood put on this for the rest of the night. Oh yeah. Get all that broke up. Sometimes we'll get the fire going in here, and because of having the concrete and all the floor drains and everything, it's a good spot to hang out when the kids are playing in the snow. It'll be nice and warm inside the greenhouse. We're at 7.5 inches of snow right now at 11 o'clock, so not too shabby. See how much more we get. A little hard to find which firewood you're grabbing when it's all covered in snow like this. Just knock the worst of the snow off. And I use a set of welding gloves, like these Kinko ones right there. I use them for bringing in firewood and stocking the stove, because I can get in there and get these all flipped around like I want without having to worry about burning myself. And any of the ones that don't fit inside the house in that stove, I'll bring the longest pieces of wood out here, because I can get them to go all the way back in this wood stove. And so it'll take a little bit larger pieces than some of those than what'll fit in the wood stove in the house, or the fireplace insert in the house. It's not a wood stove. I use a fireplace extraordinaire is the name of the stove that or insert rather, that we use in the house. And that brings in outside air, heats it up around the insert, and then blows it out into the house and creates a positive pressure in the house. And so it's constantly pushing warm air into the house, because it's bringing it in from outside, brings it into the house, blows it out around the fireplace, and it's got a positive pressure on the house. So if you have an air gap around a door or something like that, it's constantly pushing warm air out, helping to limit the intrusion of the cold air. In fact, when I need to get warm air to the far end of the house, if it gets too cool down there, we will actually crack a window at that end of the house, and that will allow the hot air to travel down to that end. So that wood stove, or I'm sorry, that insert heats 1,800 square feet in our house with just that one fireplace. So anyways, the more you know. So that ought to make it till morning, and it'll give me a nice bed of coals there, and be slow burning, hopefully, or as slow as I can. That is the one thing about this stove. It is not airtight, so it is really hard to choke it down. Like, I've got the air vent, the air inlet, oxygen, whatever. I've got it shut off all the way, but it still will suck in air from down here, even though I put in rope and whatnot to try to seal that up as much as I could. And I closed the damper there at the back. But anyways, that's pretty well how we do the stove in the greenhouse, and keep things going. And then see where that goes. This little copper coil was kind of just I don't know, a goof off. We had something to do. I had the copper, and my little brother soldered on some ends. I put these banjo fittings in the tank, and so it thermal siphons the cold air, or the cold water comes in from here, right? And it'll coil around the stovepipe, and then it'll push hot air, or hot water rather, back into the tank. So you got to, that's the only kicker, is that you got to keep the water level up above that return coming in. Otherwise the water won't flow correctly. But it just thermal siphons cold water, heats it up, hot water comes out because heat rises. So anyways, the more you know. That's how things go here. All right, guys, got any questions or tips? Then drop them in the comments below. We'll catch y'all next time. All right, Mountain Wizard out. See ya.